Following on from the addition of the radiators, what I'm going to show you now is the addition of fan coil units, 4-pipe fan coil units and chilled water units. What I'm going to do is drop to the ground floor, and what I'm going to do is show you how you can serve 3 separate areas from one fan coil unit in another zone. So it's my intention to put the fan coil unit just above the door in the ground floor corridor with ducted supplies to the ground manager, IT server and office with a 4-pipe fan coil system. So first of all I need to place the appliance. So selecting the room space, you'll see now we've got the ground corridor selected. I need to move to the insert menu and decide whether I'm going to do my heating or my cooling system. I'm going to do my heating system first. I then select other emitters, and this gives me the provisional heat loss requirement for the corridor. However, I need to explicitly apply ground office 1, ground manager, ground IT server. That's where the rooms button comes in, where by whittling down the selection by the ground floor selection here, I can then pick up the ground floor office 1, ground manager and selecting ground IT server. So I'm adding up the potential heat losses from these 3 areas and applying them, so that when I select OK, that gives me the total heat loss requirement to these 3 spaces. I can then apply my resistance around the heat exchanger. I could even give it a reference, fan coil units oblique 1 oblique H for heating, and I could actually apply a zone to it, NZG, north zone ground, and I can also apply my mounting height. That enables me to place the appliance, putting it in position. Right button click to rotate, you notice the nodes are rotating. I then move on to cooling. Again, ground floor selected, ground floor corridor selected. Now on cooling, other emitters. I have a cooling requirement of 700 watts, but I'm not going to cool the corridor, I'm just going to apply the same to these 3 offices. So again, using the rooms option, I then select the same options here, ground IT server, ground manager, ground office 1. Selecting OK, there's the total heat loss, heat gain requirement to the space. Applying the resistance around the cooling coil. Fan coil unit oblique 1 oblique C for cooling and north cooling zone. Select OK. Position that unit next to the previous one. When we're in the ductwork program, we'll be able to show these 2 symbols so that we can route our ductwork from the 4-pipe fan coil unit. If I want to undertake underfloor heating, so let's say for example in the ground design open plan I actually have an underfloor heating appliance, the first thing I need to make sure is that in the profile, back in the energy or the building profile, that there's a tick box associated with the ground open plan. Currently that's not the case, so what I've got to do is move to the building program, double click in the space and apply the exposed floor area for underfloor heating. I then move to the energy to enable the program to perform the calculation so I can view the heat loss to that space. Underfloor losses, and this gives me the heat loss to that space. Moving back to the piping program, I'm now in a position to be able to put the underfloor heating manifold in that space. So selecting the Grand Design Open Plan Office, I then select Insert and then select Underfloor Heating Manifold. Again, I can decide whether I select it within the room space or external. I'm going to put it into the room space. So I end and place the appliance in the space. And that then enables me to put that underfloor manifold within the space. I could actually site it elsewhere if I wanted to, again applying the same principle of placing it where you want it to and then ticking the ground design open plan office from the rooms listing as we did with the heating and cooling coils.